What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Cashed Out. I'm rocking the blue light glasses today to protect my eyeballs from all the screen time that I've been getting. I got my nerd glasses going over here, but I'm not gonna keep these on the whole video. Just had them on when I started recording, so figured I'd just include them in there. But today we're gonna be talking about the Beats Studio Buds, and I'm actually gonna be comparing those to the headphones that I've been using for the past year and a half, and that's the Powerbeats 4. And I wanted to do a quick review on the Studio Buds because these are some of the newer Beats headphones or earbuds that have come out over the past year or so. So I wanted to do a comparison of them, talk a little bit about their features, and compare them to my experience that I've had with using the Powerbeats 4 for the past year and a half. And I really love my Powerbeats 4. Like, these are my go-to headsets, headphones, whatever you want to call them, earbuds. These are my go-tos, and I wanted to see if these new Powerbeats Studio Buds are actually worth the money, if they're worth the time, worth the trouble to actually get them, as opposed to keeping my Powerbeats 4 and saving that $50 or whatever the price difference is right now. So that's what I wanted to do, just give you guys a little bit of my experience with these earbuds to see if it's even worth the money investing into it, or if you can save the money and just stick with the old Powerbeats. So let's dive into it a little bit. Start off, let's talk about the design of these new Beats Studio Buds, and they come with your typical Apple style AirPod charging case, right? So you see this type of charging case with your AirPods and some other earbuds on the market as well, but nothing new, nothing fancy there. The charging case is egg-shaped, and it's got a little bit of a slick surface to it, and it's kind of slippery. I honestly didn't feel as too comfortable having this over concrete and things like that, but it's nothing too fancy there in terms of the charging case. When you open the case, the buds themselves are stuck in with a very strong magnet. They actually stick really well into the charging case, and they don't slip out, they don't shake or anything like that, which is pretty impressive. But when you take the buds out of the case, they have a nice handle to them. They actually have kind of like a little handling notch over here on the side that allows you to be able to grip them without them sliding and slipping out. On the side of the buds here, you have the touch controls, and the touch controls are very sensitive. There's actually been a couple times when I've been trying to just move the earbud a little bit in my ear, and I accidentally touched the controls, and I hung up on my call, and or changed the song I was listening to. So they're super sensitive, so just be mindful with that. But the touch controls on the sides are your typical touch controls. So you talk about tap once to pause or play, double tap to skip forward, and when you press and hold the touch control on the side, it actually turns on one of the cool features about these earbuds, which is the noise cancellation. Now, these earbuds, their main selling point is that they have the noise cancellation functionality similar to the AirPods Pro. Now, the noise cancellation on here is really good. It actually is super effective. Not as good as Bose or Sony or some of the higher price earbuds, but for what you're paying at about 150 bucks for these buds, the noise cancellation does an awesome job. It was able to drown out a lot of the humming noises from like my air conditioner. When I was in the car, I was able to drown out some of the engine noises. So things like that, it does a really good job of it. It also has a transparency mode similar to the AirPods Pro. You can turn that on by pressing and holding the control button on the side of the earbuds, and you can go from active noise cancellation on to turning it off or turning it on transparency mode. Now, in transparency mode, it's okay. Actually, you still hear some of the outside noise. It allows some of that noise into your earbuds, but it really sounds very robotic, right? When somebody was talking to me in transparency mode, it sounded like they were a bad recording. It wasn't very clear. So the transparency mode isn't the best. I know some people have had a similar experience with that, but you know, it does the trick. It's there, it's available if you need it. So that's another option to it. But really, the noise cancellation is part of the big selling points for these earbuds, is that they allow you to be able to really get immersed into your music or into whatever you're listening to, and really tune out a lot of the outside noise. So in terms of design and features, that's really all there is to these earbuds. They're pretty straightforward. If you've used other earbuds, you know how to use these, so you're already familiar with that. So what I'm gonna do is now dig into a little bit of the comparison of my experience between using these Beats Studio Buds and using my Powerbeats 4. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've had my Powerbeats for about a year and a half now, and I use them for everything. And I'm just gonna do a comparison on them, really just kind of some of the things that I've found between over the past, I would say, week or so that I've been testing out these earbuds, some of the things that I like and some of the things that I don't like. Now, the perspective that I'm going to be coming from with doing this comparison is that I'm completely immersed in the Apple ecosystem. I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, and I have a MacBook, and I constantly use those three tools every single day. So I'm constantly jumping from my iPhone to my iPad to my MacBook and doing things between the three of them daily. So that's the perspective that I'm going to be coming from. And I know these Beats Studio Buds are actually not meant to be exclusively for those people in the Apple ecosystem. They're actually meant to kind of attract folks that have Android phones and be able to give them an opportunity to tap into the Beats brand or the Beats earbuds lineup. So I know that's the design and that's kind of the intention behind these buds, but just for comparison's sake, if you're like me, if you're already immersed in the Apple ecosystem, that's the perspective that I'm going to be talking from. But if you're not, then this might give you a different experience. You know, maybe it might be a different experience for you if you're using Android. So that's the perspective that I'm going to be taking when I do the comparison between these two headsets. So to start off, I'm going to talk about the pros that I've seen that these Beats Studio Buds have over my old Powerbeats 4. Now, the biggest pro that I've seen for these buds over my Powerbeats 4 is that these Beats Studio Buds have that noise cancellation, and the noise cancellation is actually super cool. It's very useful and very handy. Other than that, I don't think there's really any other benefit to these Beats Studio Buds over my Powerbeats 4 from my perspective for how I use that. Now, this is why I say that. The reason why I say that is because there's three main reasons that I feel the Powerbeats are a better deal for the Apple user than the Beats Studio Pro. And the first one is that the Powerbeats actually have that H1 chip built into them. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm immersed in that Apple ecosystem, so I'm constantly switching from device to device. And with that H1 chip, I don't have to keep pairing or connecting my Bluetooth headset to every device that I switch to. If I'm on my MacBook and I decide to jump over to my iPad to look at stuff or listen to something, the headset switches automatically because of that chip, and I can continue to listen on my iPad without having to reconnect my Bluetooth headset to my iPad. And with the Beats Studio Buds, I couldn't do that. It doesn't have that ability to switch from device to device, which is a major letdown for me because I'm constantly bouncing around. So I don't want to have to keep clicking Bluetooth settings and choosing my headset in order to be able to listen to something on a different iPad. So if you're in the same boat, then the Powerbeats 4 are a much better tool, a much better option for you. Now, the second leg up that the Powerbeats have on the Beats Studio Buds is battery life. Now, the battery life on the Powerbeats 4 is actually about 15 hours of continuous use. And for me, that's a huge plus because I have these earbuds on me and turned on literally from the time I start my day to the time I finish my day. I'm constantly listening to stuff in the morning, when I commute from place to place. Throughout the whole day, I constantly have my earbuds on. And with the Powerbeats 4, I've been able to get up to 15 hours. Honestly, I'll get most of my active workday with these earbuds on like 90% of the time, and I'll be finishing off the day towards when I'm going to bed, the earbuds will have maybe about 10 to 12% left, and that's after a whole day of active use. Now, the Beats Studio Buds will give you about 5 to 8 hours of battery life. You get more closer to that 5-hour time frame when you're using the noise cancellation and those other features that drain the power a lot more. But if you're saving power and not using noise cancellation, you can get closer to 8 hours of continuous use, which is not as much as, you know, the 15 hours that I get from the Powerbeats 4, and I don't have to charge these at all. These Beats Studio Buds, obviously, once you take them out, you can leave them sitting there, but you kind of have to put them back into the charging case to keep them alive. But with the Powerbeats, you don't have to worry about that. They're a little bit bigger, obviously, than the Buds, so you're able to get a little bit more battery life out of them. So battery life is another reason why I really love the Powerbeats over the Beats Studio Buds. Now, another point where I think the Powerbeats really shine is in the call quality. Now, the Beats Studio Buds have microphones on the side, so they're able to pick up your voice, and they do an okay job. But just like the issue with their transparency mode is that the audio coming in, the call quality on the Beats Studio Buds sounds very robotic. It almost sounds too mechanical. It doesn't sound as natural as it sounds on the Powerbeats 4. And I actually have a couple samples here, sample recordings of a phone call that I was taking while I was driving in my car car. And we've got, in this scenario, we got the windows up. I'm doing about 40 miles an hour, got the AC blowing in both cases. So I'm gonna play you guys the sample calls from the Beats Studio Buds and also from the Powerbeats 4 to help you kind of see what I'm talking about in terms of the audio quality on the calls.
So this is a call quality test. I am now riding in my car. Doing close to 40 miles an hour, just driving. We got the car noise, the wind blowing around the car, the windows are closed. So this is just a test of what the call quality sounds like when you're talking in the car, taking calls on the road with these Beat Studio Buds. And hopefully the call sounds great. And let's kind of see how they do compared to the Powerbeats 4. This is a call quality test. I am now using the Powerbeats 4. I am in my car again, doing close to 40 miles an hour. Got the wind blowing against the car, got the windows up, the AC's blowing, and this is what it sounds like when you're taking a call with Powerbeats 4. And hopefully we'll be able to tell the difference between these and the Beat Studio Buds here.
So as you can see, the audio quality on the Powerbeats, it just sounds more natural. It doesn't sound like I'm in a hole, you know, it doesn't sound like I'm too far, and it doesn't sound robotic compared to the Powerbeats, which does all of that. It doesn't sound really good when you're taking phone calls. Now, people can hear you, you know, you obviously could hear me on there, but the quality of the call was not as good as what you got from the Powerbeats 4. So that's kind of my comparison between the Beats Studio Buds and the Powerbeats 4. And for me, from my perspective, in my opinion, I don't think these are really worth the extra $40 or $50 price-wise that you would have to pay to get them. I think if you are in the market, you're better off with the Powerbeats 4 and getting that older version of these headsets and using those instead of paying extra for the newer version. Now, the noise cancellation is good, but if that's not a huge thing to you, if you really don't need noise cancellation in your daily life, then save yourself some money and just go with the Powerbeats 4. So I think these are still a great deal. I think right now you can get them for close to $100, so about maybe $40 to $45 cheaper than they were when they first came out, and also $40 to $40 cheaper than the Beats Studio Buds. So that's my review. That's kind of my experience with the Beats Studio Buds. So hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully it gave you some perspective in terms of these buds. Not saying they're terrible, they're just not the right ones for me. And if you're kind of in a similar position as me, they may not be the best for you. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't yet, and tune in next time right here on Cashed Out. Take it easy, guys.